Let me take you back to a year where times were tough and it affected many of our lives, a year by the name of 2020. We all know that this year has been a terrible disaster, for obvious reasons, and I'm willing to bet it has also caused personal problems in your life. I know it has for me, but in order to explain, I must go back even further. The year was 2018, and at the time I just finished watching the Nintendo Direct where Isabelle was announced as a playable character in Smash, and a brand new Animal Crossing game was slated to release next year. I had never played an Animal Crossing game in my life before. I was more of a Mario fanboy. I also loved other series like Kirby, Pokemon, Pikmin, and Splatoon, to name a few. After seeing the Direct, I was very excited to try the game out. This would be a great game to start off my introduction to the series. Why I didn't have the chance to buy New Leaf for the 3DS while I waited was beyond me. Maybe my crave for the 3DS was dying as the Switch got more relevant. Fast forward to 2019, and it was time for E3, an event where fans of gaming come together to see their favorite companies reveal their upcoming games. Nintendo was ready to announce their biggest games coming to the Nintendo Switch, and I was really excited to see what they had to offer. I really hope they showed that new Animal Crossing game again, and some other wishes I had in mind, but that's besides the point. About 30 minutes in, Yoshiaki Koizumi announced this. You can bet your bottom dollar that I was hyped after seeing that trailer. A game where you move to a deserted island and you get to live in it? As someone who loves summer, I was on board. The only downside was that the game had to be delayed next year so they can make it as best as it could be. Oh well, at least Super Mario Maker 2, Luigi's Mansion 3, and Pokemon Sword and Shield are available. I can play those games while I wait. But little did I know that I would soon be hit with a tragedy that would affect me for the rest of my life. As the year started to end, I noticed that there was blood in my stools. No matter how many times I would use the restroom, I would always be leaking blood. I thought I had cancer at that point, and I was really worried about telling my family about this. So, I kept it a secret, but the more I kept it to myself, the worse the problem got. It's now March 2020, and I was feeling really, really sick. So sick that I would not have the energy to eat or drink, and the bleeding would get worse, forcing me to constantly get up every hour just so I could use the restroom. Eventually, I gave in and told my family about the problem I have. Unfortunately, I told them at the exact same time COVID-19 was spreading all across the globe. If that's not a setup for the worst sense of timing, then I don't know what is. So, I was sent to the ER room. I told the doctor and nurses about my problem, and they instructed me to drink a specific type of water so they can stick a camera inside me so they can see what the problem was. If you've ever been in a hospital before, you'll know that it can be very depressing. Having to lie in your bed as you struggle with your pain while feeling lonely at the same time can really affect you. I had to sit in my room constantly, drinking that nasty water just so they can see inside my stools. I did not get enough sleep after all that. Eventually, they discovered that I had a case called ulcerated colitis, a disease where an ulcer forms inside your colon and if not treated carefully, it can cause damage to the colon. There is currently no cure for it, but it can be reduced to stop any symptoms of bleeding and pain. After hearing this, I started to doubt myself. How did my life get to a point where I developed an ulcer? Where did I go wrong? What could I possibly done to risk myself? I'm sure many of you have doubted yourself once you discovered that your disease can't be cured. Things like that can give you heavy thoughts and make you rethink about your life. It makes you wonder how life got so unfair, and you start to worry if things are going to get worse from here. To say that I was desperate would be an understatement. It really hit me hard upon hearing about my current disease. Eventually, I was sent back home with a prescription, and I went back to my room. The global pandemic was starting to affect my town, but I needed to recover from my ER visit anyway. I couldn't possibly go outside to walk around my neighborhood, let alone drive to my local retailer to pick up a physical copy of Animal Crossing. However, I did have access to the Nintendo eShop. I normally play physical copies since I like the feeling of putting a game inside the console, but because of the pandemic, I had to make an exception and download the game. However, my doubts came back to me. Would a game really make me feel better? I've waited 2 years for this game to be released, but I don't think the wait will be worth it now that I have UC. If there's no cure for my colon, what's the point of playing a game anymore? With no hope left, I sat down and booted the game. The game starts with Timmy and Tommy welcoming you to Tom Nook's Deserted Island Getaway Package. This is where you get to customize your name, hemisphere, and choose from 4 pre-made islands for your visit. It basically creates the world for when you first start the game. After choosing your island, you board on your plane and fly to your destination. An island filled to the brim with trees, weeds, and peaches. At least that's what I started with. Upon landing, I gathered everyone to Tom Nook, who requested everyone to set up their tents. So I found a good spot, helped Goose and Flo set up their tents, and it was time to set up a party. Tom Nook asked me to gather sticks for firewood and a few peaches. A few grinding later, I returned with sticks and fruit at hand, and it was time to name the island. I decided to name my island Cat Island, named after a real area in Japan. We raised a toast to Cat Island, and then I smiled. After my first day on Cat Island, I was obsessed with this game. For 2 months straight, I spent countless hours playing Animal Crossing. The following screenshots I'm showing you are some of my favorite moments playing this game for the first time. And looking back at these memories, I kinda miss the journey. And those hours spent on grinding bells to pay the house loans, expanding the island with bridges, inclines, and more villagers, adding the museum and tailor shop, and, spoiler alert, even KK Slider playing a song at the quote-unquote end of campaign. Not even joking. I spent so much time playing this game that I forgot about my YouTube channel. It's like I took a break without even knowing. The last video I posted at that time was a prop hunt video titled Havoc and Hyrule, and it took me a whole 2 months to recover before I finally got back into making videos. This game really helped me stay positive, even with the virus spreading and my ulcer infecting my colon. I probably would have stopped making videos if it weren't for this game, because I was feeling depressed knowing that I can't go outside to visit my friends, and I have a disease that can't be cured. I lacked a lot of time and motivation to make more videos because of those 2 problems, and playing this game was the only thing I could do. Whether I was feeling down, the game was always there for me. When things weren't going my way, the game would always cheer me up. Animal Crossing always made my day, no matter how bad things got. We can all agree that 2020 is the worst year of all time, but if I were to list one good thing about that year, it would be Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's a game that came out just the right time and helped a lot of people get through these troubled times. It even started a fan crossover with Doom Eternal, spawning countless memes of Isabelle meeting Doom Guy. As of now, the game is currently the second best-selling Switch game on the platform, and it shows. It delivers a brand new experience for veterans of the series, while also being welcoming to new people. Every time I feel a little down, I would play this game for a few hours. Now when I play it, I think about the journey I had turning my island from deserted to lifelike. So, if any of Nintendo's developers are watching this, I just want to say, thank you. Thank you so much for making this game. I had a lot of fun playing this, whether it was during lockdown or just on my spare time. You'll probably respond by getting this video demonetized, but I don't care. This game really means a lot to me. It may not have been the cure for my ulcerated colitis, but it will always be a constant reminder that everything will be okay. Now, I'm not saying you should buy the game just because it made me feel better. The purpose of this video was to share and express some thoughts and feelings. But I will say I do recommend trying this game for yourself. Who knows? Maybe you had a rough 2020, and maybe you deserve an island getaway package. Just like me.